Hi there. Today I'm starting another series, another book section, and this is about children and bringing up children and adolescents. And it's hopefully going to help you to have a look at some of the issues around bringing up kids. This is from my own perception, it's just a personal view. You have to decide what you take from it and what works for you and what doesn't. So today, in my series called What Kids Need, I'm going to talk about love. It's really easy to talk about love and bandying it around, but the trouble with love is that there are two different forms of love, and people very rarely think about this. There's the one form which is unconditional love, and then the other which is conditional. If your children are receiving unconditional love, you will find that things work very well. However, if your children are receiving conditional love, there's going to be many, many problems in your relationship, probably even into their adulthood. Unconditional love means that you love a person, and in this case your children, with no conditions. You will always love them no matter what they do. No matter what happens, you will love them and you will always give them love. The love will always be given with unconditional love. We might be mad with them, we might be upset with them, they might have hurt our feelings with some of the stuff they've said to us, but the love remains, and it's a very constant thing. People who come out of homes where there's been conditional love would have been parented that way. Conditional love's different. There are conditions. So I love you if you behave yourself and you feel good. And if you don't, I don't love you and you get punished. It's pretty simple and you can see it everywhere. And while you're being punished, I don't love you. I don't give you any love. I shut it out. So you're shut out from love. And this has terrible effects on children. It's very, very devastating for a child and very confusing. I want you to start looking at your way you do things, because that's going to help you work out whether you love unconditionally or conditionally. Now, some people change and fluctuate between one and the other, but I don't think that's much better either. You should love that child unconditionally all the time. And if you're not doing that, you need to change it, because you're going to end up with a really messy relationship with them. We come out of these homes that they loved conditionally or unconditionally. Unfortunately, most homes it's conditional love, because most situations between parents and children end up being a power situation, power and control, because the parents want to have power and control over the children, and they will use conditional love to help get that. However, you can change this, and that's why I'm doing all these podcasts, because you can change how you do it. You don't have to be brought up that way and then continue to parent in that crappy way that your parents did it. Okay, maybe they didn't know any better, but now you do. So if you know what you're doing wrong, stop it. Stop it right now and stop doing it. And if you've got a parent who's with you who's doing it the same way, stop it. The other really insidious thing is when some parents love one child unconditionally. There's not many conditions with one child, and then the other child is conditionally loved, and they're always being punished, and there's like huge divide in the family. The important thing is, when you love a child, is to always love them. Love them unconditionally. Keep the love there. And even when they're misbehaving or being difficult, you still love them. And you need to divide things up. So when they're misbehaving or having a temper tantrum or being really naughty in a way, you need to separate it. So you say to the child, I don't like this behaviour, and this behaviour is really not acceptable. You can't behave like this. I still love you, but I don't like the behaviour. And you need to make a real separation between the behaviour and the emotion that you feel towards that child, so the love is never taken away, never ever taken away. But we're talking about your behaviour, because that's really all it is. It's just a behaviour they're learning. And remember, they're only little kids. They're just going to do what they've seen, maybe at kindy or at school. They're going to do what they've seen at someone else's place that kid did, and try out that behaviour. And you need to be very clear with your child. It's the behaviour you don't like, but you still love them and you still like them. And that's going to make it much, much easier for you to stop being conditionally loving with them. The other thing with this is how you discipline. Now, discipline is different to punishment. And when you love someone unconditionally, you might put in some disciplines, but you won't be viciously punishing them, and it won't be hard, and it won't be unfair, and it won't be unrealistic. Whereas conditional love, people really are very harsh with their children. They're unwielding and unbending. They're very black and white. They don't listen to their kids when the kids are trying to explain things back. It's just now, and like, you're in trouble and go to your room and I don't want to see you and the love is cut off and don't come near me and all this kind of stuff. And this is so damaging to the children. This is why I'm doing these podcasts, because people don't even know they're damaging their kids. They're just doing what their mum and dad did. They're just doing the same old parenting crap that their parents did. And now they're landing up with all these sulky, petulant little kids, these angry children, because the children know that you don't love them right now. You basically said that in your behaviour. You've said to them, go away, I don't want to see you, go to your room. And I'm not saying to you, I still love you, I love you very much, but I don't like your behaviour. I'm not saying anything to you, I'm just sending you to your room. If you're a person who loves unconditionally, you won't be doing it in this way. You'll know which one you are at the end of this podcast. But if you're a person who loves conditionally, you will shut the love out and you will not give it. And you might not give it like for days. And then sometimes with some parents, that's the only way they parent, with conditional love. You can pick them all the time because they are always punishing their children. The children are always being punished for this and punished for that, and nitpicking, and they're on their back and nagging them because there's conditions with these parents to be in a relationship with them. And you have to do everything they want, and if you don't do what they want, you get punished. They're the conditions. Whereas with unconditional love parents, there's no conditions. I'm going to try and teach you how to behave and what's acceptable and not acceptable in our society. However, throughout that whole experience, I'm still going to love you unconditionally. You need to come with love with your children, but don't get confused which love it is. And I think a lot of people say, well, I do love my little Tommy or something. But then they treat that child with conditional love and wreck their relationship with that child. There's different sorts of love. Don't use conditional love. I can't emphasize this enough, because this is going to actually wreck your child, because children don't know how to deal with it. Like, they don't have the understanding at a very young age, and even as adolescents, they'll know there's something about that. Can't put their finger on it. They don't know what it is. And the other thing is that when you love someone unconditionally, they can feel it, like it has an energy. They can feel you continue to love them. They know you still love them. Even when you mess up as a child, you know that your mum and dad still really love you. And they're expressing it. Your mum and dad are still expressing it through the whole process. Whereas with the conditional love, you get confused, because if you're a child or an adolescent even, you're like, well, you don't really love me now. Now you're being really horrible to me and really mean to me, and you've shut me out of your heart. And I'm standing here alone and you don't love me. And this has devastating effects on children. It actually has devastating effects on adults too. I don't think this is good for adults, but today we're just talking about kids and adolescents. Look at how you love your children and work out which one you're doing. Stop doing the conditional one. If you have a partner who loves conditionally, you might need to talk to them about this, to separate the behaviour from the love. That's how you do it. So you're still going to discipline that child for what they did or try to rectify something, but the love will remain constant throughout. There's a lot of power plays that go to with conditional love, and those kind of parents will always want to have the power and the control, and that's not important, because the most important thing that you have with your child and your adolescent is love. To love them. That's all they want to have their parents do, is to love them. Children just want to be loved, but children also want to be loved all the time. They don't want to be loved now and then not, and then now and then not. And to be quite honest, I think that when the conditional parents love you, it doesn't feel very nourishing. because it's, you know, that at any moment it can be taken away. So it creates quite a lot of anxiety, I think, in children when they're with these kind of parents. It's like you never know from day to day. And the thing is too that as the relationship begins to deteriorate, as it always does, and the child becomes more angry and defiant because of the way they're being actually treated and not loved properly, then the parent will up the conditional love behaviour to the point where the parent will actually not like the child, perhaps, and that comes through as well, and then the child will not like the parent. You can change this. You can be the unconditional love parent, and you can stop all the damage by starting today to love your child all the time and separate the behaviours from the love. It's simple to do. You'll find that you'll fall back into your conditional love pattern sometimes, but then you can just stop that, because all it takes is a word, I love you, a few words, I love you. Even though mummy's cross with you or dad's annoyed with you, doesn't mean I don't love you. I'll always love you. And you're going to give your child the emotional security that they need, because they know that whatever happens with them, whatever they do, that when they mess up, that you will still be there loving them 100% of the time. Have a look at this one. I think it's really massively important in the future of your relationship with your children as they grow into young adults and have their own families, because the other thing is too that they will pass on the way you parent them. They will now parent their children. So if you want to break the pattern of conditional love, break it now. And you'll find that once you start breaking it with your kids, you'll end up seeing that you do it with other people. It's got punishment in it, and it means that you withdraw the love when you do it conditionally. That's how you'll see it. Whereas unconditional love doesn't seek to punish, has no revenge in it. It just seeks to keep loving you. You'll just keep loving the person through the whole process. Wishing you well with your children. Wonderful thing to be given those little gifts. And then when they grow up, they give you some more little gifts. You get grandchildren. And I'm hoping that you can love your children unconditionally and just give it and give it, because you cannot give too much love to a child. There's no such thing as too much love for a child. Love will never spoil a child. Lack of discipline might, but love won't. So love your kids, enjoy your kids, and I hope you have a better week with them.